Welcome, everyone, to Lift Every Voice. This is a panel discussion slash showcase on behalf of the Ohioana Book Festival. So welcome to the 2021 Ohioana Book Festival. I'm Scott Woods, and I am pleased to welcome you to Lift Every Voice. We'd like to thank our festival sponsors and partners, all of whom you can find listed on the Ohioana website. And thanks to our official bookseller, the Book Loft of German Village, an awesome bookstore. You can get copies of all the books featured at the festival by going online to thebookloft.com. And now I am pleased to welcome our poets. And that's going to be Kelly Harris-DeBerry, Mabel C. Jones, and Kiya Renae. Thank you all so much. And we have one more who's supposed to be here, Carmen Gabriel-Watson, but we'll see if we can get her in. But poets, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your words. What today is going to kind of look like is we're going to have the poets actually open with poetry, one poem apiece of a reasonable length, of course. And then we're going to do a little Q&A, a little discussion, right? And then we'll maybe, if we have time, we'll close out with another one. And if we have anybody who wants to throw in any questions in the chat or the Q&A, we'll try to see if we can get that in as well. But yeah, it's really good to be here, to have you all here. And I think it would be really awesome to start off with an old friend who I have not seen in some time, and I'm really honored that she's here today. Kelly, would you mind kicking us off with a poem?
Sure. First, thank you. Hello to everyone. Thank you to all the folks over at Ohioana Library. It's really an honor to be here. I grew up hearing about Ohioana and never thought I'd be a panelist. So thank you for having me. Migration, my family, my Cleveland. Left your land for a job. That same Southern job. The always job of surviving white folks. Working hard ain't never impressed them. Why a farmer like you go north? The land is hitched to steel and tight-lipped mornings. No elbow room for joy, no time to rock the earth asleep. Had a porch, a pulpit then. Stories sprouted from dirt and spirit. Here ain't by the riverside. Don't flow back to ancient gospels. God is a check here. A blue collar, a few days off. Remember those clockless days when soil called you to work? I reckon it's worth leaving the land if heaven is up, away from cotton, away from the wrong white people, hoping to find the right ones. Maybe up there, clan fires fade in rear view, trees dangle the weight of snow. How'd you learn to live in the cold and rude and disrespect? They don't sip nothing sweet up here. Lynched us with good, bad jobs and better than Mississippi hope. Brick by brick, stacking generations of heavy breathers of smoke, polite anger. I weep for all the times the Navy called you boy, all the middle fingers you should have raised, all the labor, half the paycheck, all the white flight that left big city rats eating the floorboards nailed from your knees, your blood in the wood, your blood in the wood have been. I live the same two-step blues of kinfolk made in the Delta, integrated with white children whose parents were the white people that niggered you. How many miles did you travel to be more than fractions of a dream? Grandpa, did you ever cross the Dixie again in your sleep? Did you ever bring America home?
Kelly Harris-DeBerry, thank you so much. Is now I'm assuming that is out of the latest book, Freedom Knows My Name, yes?
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. Mabel C. Jones, would you be so kind as to grace us with the next poem?
C. Jones, this is my book, An Inspirational Treasury. And my poem is going to be Choose Ye This Day. There is a blood-stained cross and the dangerous streets where needless blood is shed. Choose ye this day. There is a way straight from his word and a highway crooked and deceiving. Choose ye this day. There is a place of eternal joy unspeakable and a place of eternal sorrow and gnashing of teeth. Choose ye this day. There is a race that will be won by love, faith, and trust in God. And there is a race that will be lost without it. Choose ye this day. There is one who shed his blood for you. There is one who cares not at all and only desires to see you in hell with him. Choose ye this day. There is one who gave his all just for you because he loves you so. I offer you Jesus. Choose ye this day.
Yes, thank you, Mabel, so much. Kiya Renae, are you ready, my friend, my new friend?
Hello. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Miss Mabel and Miss Kelly. Those were awesome. Think I'm going to read Dear Black Man, and it's from Unrefined, which is my latest book. Dear Black Man, we nourish you, help shape you, build you up, instill in you that you are a king born from a queen, that knowledge is power. The opportunity is yours if and when you take it, to treat others the way you want to be treated. And yet, Black men, why do you treat your Black woman with such dismay? You tear her down right after she brings you up. You don't support her dreams after she's poured everything into yours. You tell her her knowledge isn't worth being shared, the same knowledge that got you here. You throw her crown on the floor, you replace it with thorns, and still, Black men, your women try to push you through, fighting for her cause, fighting for her love, fighting for you. Black men, your Black women see your worth, your pain. So Black man, why treat your woman with disdain? Why reel her in with a dream made up of the lies and stories you've molded together, like a Picasso or a Michelangelo? Sweet words, innocent kisses, kind gestures, lustful thoughts wrapped in intimacy. Why reel her in the plans of the future you painted with both her and you in it? Why reel her in with your ambiguity and indecisiveness, your tricks and schemes, your selfish intentions? Why, Black man? The love she gave you, you use it against her. The knowledge she shared, you use it despite her. The comfort she gave, then you turn around and you reject her. Why, Black men, are you so against her? Dear Black man, she gave you mind, spirit, and body. She gave you faith, hope, and a dream. She gave you nurturing, care, and love. Dear Black man, she wipes your tears as you force hers. She warms your heart as you make hers cold. She gives you an ear, but you refuse to hear her out. Dear Black man, she caters to your wounds as you inflict into her pain. She makes time when she has no time, and yet all you do is complain. She puts love and energy into those meals she feeds you, while you take the next woman, Latina, Brazilian, Australian, Italian, white, to those fancy steakhouses and sit courtside with her at those NBA games. Dear Black man, you've given your Black woman reason to believe that she holds no value to you. Dear Black man, you've broken her spirit, you've broken her heart. Dear Black man, you've thrown your Black women into this repetitive cycle of brokenness. Because after she leaves you, dusts herself off, and tries again, another Black man comes in with a different face, but the same agenda that he doesn't hesitate to implement. And she can't see the signs because they've been disguised so well to look like love. And if she takes what she learned from the previous Black man and the voodoo he put on her, then she in turn is a bitter Black woman. So she waits patiently as the story plays out. Then the plot and the climax that seem so different begin to look so familiar. And dear Black man, she finally breaks away and realizes that everything is the same. Dear Black man, you created this cycle when you created this pain. Dear Black man, dear Black man, dear Black man.
Thank you, Kiya. Having being a Black man, right? I come from the school of if the rock don't hit you, don't holler. So I enjoyed your poem, right? So I have a message that suggests that Carmen will be joining us shortly. But what I would like to do is to kind of float a couple of questions to the group and just kind of get everybody's, their take on it. And I'd like to open with this one. It seems particularly prescient in this environment, the way that we're doing this right now. A lot of people, a lot of artists have struggled during the pandemic to not just perform or get their art out into the world, but to even create, right? Like it has been difficult for many people to even really get the focus or the energy or whatever to create over the past year. Open mics, poetry nights that have gone away or they've gone on hiatus or they've gone virtual. So the experience, if it exists at all, is extremely different. And featured readings and book releases have been, tenuous at best, right? So I want to ask each of you, and any of you can kind of jump in here and speak on this. How has the pandemic affected your writing, if it has at all? Do you write more? Do you write less? Do you write different? Whoever wants to kind of jump in there.
Go ahead. Okay. So I think I've been writing more actually because I'm at home more, which has been a gift in a way. From a business perspective or from having a book out in a pandemic, it has really challenged me to think more creatively about how I market my book, how I partner with people, and really has me thinking, what is this book and how do I get it in the world? What are some of the things, like how can this book find a place in the world right now the way that it is? So being that I have a business background in undergrad, I've been pulling from that journey in my life and trying to be creative with promoting my book.
Thank you. Oh, Mabel, we can hear you.
There you go.
There we go.
I would say the same thing. I am writing a little bit more, but I had the COVID for, I don't know, I was down for maybe about 3 months of it. So that really stopped me totally on everything. And I'm just now kind of getting back up and back into it, but I just love to write. Just words seem to be rolling around in my head all the time. I see writing opportunity in almost everything. So I'm getting back to it, but I'm not quite 100% yet. But I'm like Kelly. I think that I've written more, except for the COVID. I've written more. Yes.
So that reminds me of when Stevie Wonder got into that really bad car accident back in the 70s, right? And he was laid up in the hospital and he was like down, like he was like, I think in a coma for some time. And then eventually, obviously, he came out of that. And then like the first concern or question that he had and everyone around him had was, can he still do it? Did you experience anything like that in your mind at all, Mabel?
No, not really. Can I still do it? But when can I do it was like going on in my head. And then at one point I was so sick that I didn't care. I just wanted to get better. But then as I began to get better, it's like, when, you know, I want to get up, I want to write, I want, you know, and I didn't, like I normally feel the words in my head. I wasn't feeling that. So I was like, when? And then like I started getting better, then the words started coming like, okay, I'm getting there now, I'm getting there now. And I get on my computer again. And for a while, I couldn't even feel like getting on my computer. So I just had pen and paper by my bed and I just took a couple notes and stuff. And so it's coming. Yeah. I'm not, like I said, I'm not there 100%, but it's coming.
All right, thank you.
I've always loved to write. I can't remember a time for when I first began to know that I could write as a, I don't know, teenage, not even a teenager, but you know, I don't know, 6-7-year-old. Oh, there's such a thing as writing. Okay, and that's been basically me all my life. So it's just my life.
What about you, Kiya?
I wouldn't say that it's too much impacted me, but I have a few other things going on that really keep my mind occupied. So, you know, I'm finishing up my dissertation for my doctorate. So that takes, I'm writing all the time and doing research all the time with that. When it comes to the poetry aspect, I've always just had to kind of be in like a certain mood, a certain zone. Like I'm not good at sitting down and just like, oh, I'm gonna write today. My brain doesn't work like that. So I have to be on kind of like in an emotional space to express myself, and I have to do it in that moment. So sometimes, you know, whether I'm in a parking lot or at a store, I'll pull my phone out and send a text to myself with, you know, whatever thought is racing through my head. But I still like to write everything out on paper. I do the same thing with school. I still handwrite. You know, I've submitted 123 pages that I handwrote first. So I'm still a pen and paper type of person. Pen and paper is definitely motivation to me. So I wouldn't say that it too much impacted me in my writing.
That's so old school.
No, I mean, pen and paper to some people is definitely, my advisor can't believe my first draft when I went into her and showed her my notebook. I'm like, this is why I haven't typed it up yet. It's handwritten. So I definitely still like pen and paper.
Cool. And then Carmen, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Well, I very much apologize for the discrepancy on the Zoom. Apparently, my grandson had used my camera for his Zooming schooling, and I'm just now getting my camera back, and I put it on my computer, and it's blurry. He mentioned something about the blurriness. He noticed that was happening about a week or so ago. Well, you didn't bring it to my attention. So, you know, unfortunately, it happened at this moment. So I'm working with what I have, which is my cell phone. Mm-hmm. And that's why I want to make sure you can hear me. And that's good. But like I said, I apologize. I've been writing. The pandemic has not really impacted me as much because I'm home a lot.
Well, hold on, Carmen, hold on 1 second. Before you answer that question, the chip count to this poker game is a poem. So you got to give us a poem before you give us some answers.
Before I give you answers, I have no problem. All you got to do is tell me so, and I'll do it. You know, I'm there. So we were just talking about a conversation. I was just, you know, jumping in, but yes. The name of my book is actually Carmen's Soul So Deep, Poetic Passions. I wrote this book late last year, and this is my first book. This is my first publication. And the thing is, it's geared to inspire through all my poetry, my quotes, my stories, I even have definitions in there, and my testimonies are in there, my stroke experience and my hysterectomy and everything else. I will be happy to provide a poem to you.
Please.
No problem. I mean, it's several in here, so I'm going through it right now. I'll be happy to provide something to you. I have one that's called, where my sister called me on the phone wanting to know if she can use that particular poem in and share it with the family. So I will be happy to use that one.
Okay.
It's called Where Peace Knows Me by My Name. Peace in me lights the fire inside its crystal stone, transforms to exquisite clear crystallized water. The rains of ease and truth that grit struggle sends the climb to rest, steers the motivation in its leader, who leaves traces from footsteps. I am put into a trance of tranquil nature by special angels who surround my path. I escape for retreat and remain there to wait for sound nor signal, but only for peaceful transitions and tranquility. What a foundation. I meditate there, express there, and belong there. Keep me there forever from stresses, messes, pitfalls, strains, pains, mazes, and haziness. I know I'll have them, but refuge I seek. Unidentified objects and people dressed in things unknown hang out daily. Environmental of smog, dust, soot, city life, negatives lack the positive results. But unwelcome knows not my name. Here I am at rest, where I can loosen. Take me where peace knows my name. Thank God, and so it is.
All right, Carmen, thank you so much.
You are very welcome. I made that up in 3 minutes. And as far as the pandemic is concerned, like I said, I'm not as impacted. I'm kind of like Kiya. I continue to write. I'm home a lot. I go to I'm just starting to go to the workout at. Lately, I've been doing therapy, water aquatics, to help my arthritis and things like that, and my stroke, that I've had in the past. So I go there. But other than that, I'm between doctor's appointments and, I travel a little bit. So it really has an impact. And I just continue to write because I come with a gift. I'm able to put poems together for people's funerals, the graduations and events or anything have you. So I'm able to do that. So I just continue on. I have a note full of things that I come up with within a matter of 5 minutes. And that's just what I do. My Aunt Gwen just passed away. I was able to put something out within an hour for a funeral. So different things like that. So I just continue to do what I do. Time is precious, is of the essence. I'm not in a rush, but I continue to, expand my gift. Right now I'm working on my next book, which is a coloring book for adults. And all my artwork is going in there. So I've been kind of working on that, everything that I've been exposed to as a child on. So that's all going into the coloring book with my quotes. And, I'm kind of like interchangeably working with the books that I'm trying to come out with, which is all black cast play. I've been in 3 all black cast major plays in the past. So due to the strokes I've had in the past, I'm kind of afraid I won't remember everything. So I continue to write and I put everything together according to the book I just put out. So.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
To the group, I want to pose another question. Because the panel is comprised of Black women, I felt compelled to try to get at that experience a little bit. And so I want to ask the group, and we'll start off with Mabel on this one. What would you say are some of the challenges you've experienced as a Black woman specific to poetry or publishing? Not to the world, just to poetry and publishing. if that has been your experience?
Some of the challenges
Mhm.
to publishing, financial, just being able to pay for this book to be published. That was a challenge. And it's actually been a challenge basically all my life. That's been a challenge. I self-published one book, oh goodness, when I was in my 20s, which was eons ago for you young children. And I had the help of my family with that. And it was like, it didn't do too good and everything. And then I had my children at that time, and it just was financially, I just wasn't able to just do what I wanted to do with it, or market it like I wanted to market it. So it just really didn't go anywhere that much. So it just put me behind, and I didn't try anymore at that time. I kept writing, I just didn't try to publish anything else until now. And now I'm older, put it that way, and I have decided I have people that are helping me, such as my family and everything. And I decided, this is time again, because I'm writing, I have all these poems and everything. I'm going to put together another book. And so I decided I'm going to try it again. And so I did try it again. I have the help of my family and everything. My children are grown now. Even my grandchildren are grown now. And I have the time now, more time and a little bit more money. I don't have to spend money on raising children and helping children with college or whatever now. So I put together this book, and I'm working on a second and third book, actually, because I write so much. So that's been my challenge. The financial part of it has been my challenge. Other than that, I haven't had that much of a challenge. Even when I presented the book to my publishers, they didn't really have that much to say as far as the editing, because my work is just so, and it's no brag. I'm just answering your question.
Mhm.
They had a couple things to say. Some of the things they said, I said, no, this is the way I want it. And a couple of the other things I said, well, okay, I will. And it just went on like that. And, within a matter of, I'll say 8 months, we had this book together just before I got down with the COVID, and then I got down with the COVID, okay. But anyway, I had already started working on the second book, which I'm working on now, and even a third book I'm working on. So I'm working on 2 books at once now. So I'm trying to catch up.
Okay. Kiya, what about you? Have you experienced anything like that specific to poetry and publishing as a Black woman? Any kind of challenges there?
Well, I'm not too sure if it's specific to, being a Black woman, but this last book, this is my third book. I've self-published all 3. With this one in particular, I did want to approach it differently. So I did submit it to a few publishers, and the response that I got from each of them was that they didn't know where to place it. It was almost came across as a new genre. And then one place said that they weren't looking for any new poetry books at that moment. But I'm not too sure if that's just specific to me being, a Black woman, but I did not have luck getting a publisher for this one. So I guess that would be my ultimate challenge. Is I don't know if it's me being impatient and wanting it out there, or what, but again, I don't know if that's just specific to me being a Black woman, but I mean, I've gotten amazing feedback from the publishers. It just hasn't been picked up.
Got you. And then Kelly, what about you?
Well, a couple of years ago, I was an editor on a project, and I made some suggestions to a writer who was a male, and he got really offended by, I felt that he was really offended by a woman making suggestions to his work. and just by some of the things he said, some of his behavior. And so that is an experience I always go back to when you're not just a fellow writer, but you're in a position of choices in publishing. And in that particular instance, I felt that I wasn't getting the respect because I was a woman. And so although I was the editor, this particular writer didn't seem to have any respect. And some of my suggestions were spelling. They weren't even like, major things. It was like, this is spelled wrong, or just suggesting things of clarity, because there is a difference between what one can experience versus, on the mic versus, what one can interpret on the page. And so I was trying to suggest some things to bridge that gap, or that gap for the reader. And I was really attacked verbally and really embarrassed. So that's one of the experiences. So now I think more carefully about saying yes to projects that would require me to be in that position. At least, I'm sure maybe I'll go back to that at some point, but for now it was just such a horrible experience for me that I said, I think I'm gonna step back from editing for a little bit.
Yeah. Carmen, what about you?
I don't think I had, well, the only challenge that I mostly had is choosing the correct, maybe a publisher. I wasn't for sure in what shoes. I wouldn't say more the shoes I had to fit as far as which direction I wanted to go and how to get this book put out for the first time. I've been working on it since I got divorced from my ex. I've been living out in California for 13 years. I raised my 2 daughters, and I start writing when I I just wrote in pieces and things like that. Before you know it, I had so much information, but and I decided that this is the time to get it published after all the notes and notebooks and things that I've accumulated. So what happened is when I finally did that this last year, some people are like, sometimes you want to network. I think networking is one of them, because some people, when they write or they've written a book, or, they're excited, you would think, and this and that. But when you're asking about, certain information on how, what they went through, whatever, nobody wants to talk about it. So being the resourceful person that I am, I accumulated and just basically researched publishing companies and, trying to figure out what I wanted to do with all the pages that I've had, which is at least 200 and something. So I didn't know for sure, how to go about that. So I started to pull out my resource book and going down the list, and I said, well, self-publishing, being that this is the first time for me, I don't want to self-publish, not sure, because I don't know, I might need somebody to hold my hand a little bit, because I'm not sure which direction, I wanted to go. So I said, well, I'll just choose a publisher. So I was all happy with it and everything. And I'm still okay with it, but I'm not okay with it, because it turns out that it's a publisher from a foreign country, for one. Number two, they depend on another country to do everything they do in the background. So it kind of takes them a minute and this and that. And, I'm giving my money, and before you know it, it's like, wow, where's my royalties? And, things like that. So I was kind of working with that. And, the book is out, so I can't do anything about it. It's done. So it's in over 300 different websites right now. It's also in Sweden and Africa and different places like that. So I don't really know how to, I just know I haven't gotten any money from the book as much, really. I haven't, and it's also on ebooks and everything. So this is the first time for me. So I'm proud in that direction. I'm proud that I did that. Now I'm realizing that it is better to go to be, self-publish the book. So that's how I'm going to do the playwright book that I'm going to put out. But I learned a big lesson. So that I got out of that. So that I'm kind of glad. But as far as challenges, yes, that is a challenge, trying to figure out how you want to go about the book.
Okay. So to the group, who is your go-to poet for inspiration, right? When you need to kind of, jumpstart whatever you're doing, or if you're stuck or whatever, what poet inspires you? And I'm not asking for your favorite poet necessarily. It may be your favorite poet, but do you have a go-to poet, right? Like my go-to poet is not necessarily my favorite poet, but they are the poet who gets me going every time I pick them up. Kiya, let's start with you. If you have a poet like that.
I can't say that I do. I have a few phrases that resonate through my head from older poetry, like Langston Hughes, Edgar Allan Poe. But I don't have any like modern writers, Sojourner Truth. Like I like the old stuff. So I do a lot of reading. So I read a lot of books over the course of COVID. But as I said before, pretty much life experience is what inspires me, gives me, the tools that I need to express myself through writing. So of course you have, can't go without saying Maya Angelou, that's a given, Still I Rise. So I don't necessarily just have one go-to.
It's funny, when I was coming out with that question, I wanted to qualify it by just saying, okay, outside of Maya Angelou, ... You know what I'm saying? So Kelly, what about you?
I see that there's also, I'm going to try to answer, there's a Q&A question that's similar to your question.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to answer that one first and quickly, and then answer yours because they're connected.
Sure.
So there was one question of, were there any Black women poets who were particularly inspired you as a young reader? I always loved Eloise Greenfield growing up. Honey, I Love was always a classic for me. But the poet that I go to often is Sonia Sanchez, because I feel that she doesn't drop words. They all stay in the air. And the musical aspects of it are also inspiring to me. So those are two that come to mind. Thank you.
Dope, yeah. Sanchez is always going to be the winner, right? Yeah. Mabel. Is muted.
There we go.
There we go.
All right, I was coughing. I didn't quite hear your question.
Yeah. Do you have a go-to poet for inspiration?
Maya Angelou.
Mm.
Yes.
Mhm.
She is so inspiring. And sorry she's not from Ohio, but I am sorry she's not from Ohio. But anyway, Maya Angelou for one. I like a little bit of Paul Laurence Dunbar's work, but not that much, not as much, of course, as Maya Angelou, but I do like a little bit of his work too.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have the amazing Toni Morrison from Ohio.
Right. Yes, Toni Morrison from Ohio, and who, while a fiction writer, is frequently prone to very poetic prose, right?
And we should also mention Rita Dove.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In there, Nikki Giovanni has some Ohio roots.
Carmen, do you have a go-to poet?
I'm not for sure if I have a go-to poet. I know about them, like Nikki Giovanni, and like she mentioned, Maya Angelou. She's a great inspiration. People who inspire me are my go-tos in life. So I tailor that to poetry as well. Maya Angelou has been through a lot of things, of course, and so has, some of the older poets like Sojourner Truth. I'm a reader. I grew up in the library, totally. So those are my go-to poets. Maya Angelou, like I said, she has always been for me. I believe Harriet Tubman was a poet. So some of the, the pioneers are poets. They put together things in their walk through life and their journey. So as far as go-to, those are my go-tos. My mother was my go-to. She was my first inspiration to teach me how to write cursive in the first place. So just different things like that. We did skits in my family through, I believe, Paul Laurence Dunbar or Langston Hughes. He came up with a poem called Lias, Lias, and that's always been my inspiration. Lias, Lias is I believe, I'm trying to think which one did it, because we used to do skits off of his poetry, his poems. So that has totally been an inspiration to me. And just the fact that I go through life experiences my poetry. I bear witness as truth fluid for the soul, and that's one of my beliefs too, that inspired me to write this book. Who believes every closed window has an open way out. It's in the beginning of my book. I'm inspired as the more I come up with things in my mind and my soul and I pull it out, that's an inspiration to me. So
Thank you.
God is one too. So there it is.
So as the time is waning on, what I would like to do is to see if we can get one more poem out of each of our panelists. And if we could, I would like to start with Kiya, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, so I'll be reading Hey There. I woke up this morning with a familiar feeling, one that I felt before, but was unsure of. Not sure if it's because I'm getting closer or getting further, figuring out this puzzle of me. See, I've been working on this thing consciously, knowingly, effortlessly, and ignorantly. Yeah, on both extremes. I knew then, like I know now, that I want to know me. I want to know the me that God knows. Every crevice, every line, every stroke, every hair, every imperfection, every mark, every curve, every scar, everything beautiful, everything ugly, everything good, everything bad. I want to know those things. I want to explore those things. I want to love those things. I know some things about myself may even be unacceptable, unlovable, even repulsive. But yeah, I want to love those things too. I want to get excited by the thought of me, the thought of I, the thought of she, the girl that I knew back then. I hope she's proud of me. I can say that I've come a long way. It wasn't easy. I can say I've accomplished some things, although I failed in some ways. I can say I found beauty in my ugly ways, but I've also found flaws in my attractive traits. This epiphany, this moment, this deja vu, whatever you want to call it, I've been here before. Accepting this being, accepting this me, but knowing there's more to discover, more to work on, more to come, more to show, more to love. This self-reintroduction, this I think I've met you before, this acceptance, this you seem so familiar, this woman that I'd like to get to know. Hello, how are you today? And that's from Unrefined.
Thank you, Kiya. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Carmen, would you have another piece that you would like to close us out with?
Oh, no problem. One poem that I have to close out probably is The Me We Be. In a world of chaos and others, and imperfect as me, who live in a place of categories that stigmatize, those dozens who uphold titles do not possess a capital letter such as hate mongers, wizards, judges, breakers, shakers, inside a world constantly falling apart from which it began, but never yours anyway, within a part of me who also thrive with great achievers, thinkers, fillers, doers, lovers, and learners who at least try, then become wise. They need credit bad. In a prime of the life, the me, a survivor who came to a canvas platform to witness a be me, just as it is, in a world to call home, without permanent claim to ownership, as we will lose either one any day. I carry no imperfections because none of us will last forever to see them. Therefore, I accept what is to be me, no different than you against the world of us. We bees, I am me until we all exit. We are what we are, and I am a part of that. Accept the me for who we are, because it applies to us. I am part who we be in a world of others, with me in it, because we are the world we live in. Peace out.
Thank you, Ms. Carmen. And Mabel, would you be so kind as to give us one more poem as we close out this altar call, as it were?
Okay.
Sure. And thank you, Scott, and my thanks to Ohioana Library too, for this opportunity. The empty chair. It was just another Mother's Day, a time to go to church, like Mama say. Squirming in the seat I sat, wondering what the preacher meant, for I'd only come by standing invitation and to quench my mom's aggravation. Mother, she sat still beside me, a smile on her face so proudly. I just hope for this to be over and done, because I had to make me a street run. The doors are open, I finally heard the preacher say. Won't you let Christ come in and change your life today? Then he stepped down from the pulpit intently and began walking up my aisle purposely. With arms outstretched, his invitation came. Come to Jesus, you will never be the same. Someone placed a chair up front. Who would dare do such a stunt? I felt a prick upon my heart. It was so strange, it gave me a start. What can this be, this empty chair? Is it for me, just sitting there? I looked around to see if anyone was watching me. Why was my seat so uncomfortable just now? Oh no, was the preacher coming toward me? Oh wow. Again, my glance came upon that empty chair. It was as if it was staring at me, just sitting there. I looked around. Could I just get out of here? Eyes seeming to look at me while singing praises joyfully. Then the preacher stopped and looked my way. He smiled, and through the singing, I heard him say, Jesus loves you, don't you know? For the Bible tells me so. He's reaching out to you today. He wants to wash all your sin away. Right now, all you who are bound can be set free. If you choose Jesus, the devil will have to flee. Right now, if you'll touch him, he'll touch you back, and your life will begin anew, just like he promised you. My eyes couldn't stop staring at that empty chair. Why was it empty and just sitting there? Now I just kept feeling this tug within my heart, as though it was breaking apart. Oh, what was this happening to me? Well, I'm just going to get up and leave. As I stood up, I could no longer ignore the tugboat. I felt my steps taking me toward and forward instead of out. I could no longer feel the shackles of my street prison that had bound me for so long in indecision. I had forgotten about everybody and everything. Above me, I could actually hear angels sing. Behind me was unimportant noise. Beside me, I felt my mother's praise and joy. Before me, I felt the love of Jesus there, just drawing me to that empty chair. Step by step, I walked forward anxiously. The preacher reached out for my hand and hugged me. Now I felt the tears flowing down my cheek, but I felt strong, no longer lost and weak. I felt myself sit down, the chair no longer empty, but it could never contain the joy bubbling within me. Hallelujah, I heard someone shout. Then I realized it was me without a doubt. Yes, my life has changed to brand new. Now I boldly offer Jesus and the empty chair to you.
Thank you so much, Mabel, so much. And then to bring us all the way home, once again, Kelly Harris-DeBerry.
Thank you all for having me, and thank you all for watching. What songs shall we sing now? What songs shall we sing now that now is all we have? We know the hum of sparrows and hushed harbors. This life has no shorthand. I write these poems knowing each word is not enough flowers for the dead or the living. I pull memories like apples from trees, taste the sweetness of yesterday, chew wisdom from elders kissing my cheek. I see children in front yards, smell Sunday dinners, echoes of tambourines still fill this temple. The glory of our everydayness turned cold. What songs shall we sing now? Sorrow pins itself to us like a corsage. We dance with memories and tender hope while the world is swollen with rage. What is the temperature on your tongue? What new versions of ourselves must we make to survive? What songs shall we sing now over the dead and the days we can't bring back? Can you preach yourself out of the blues? Can you preach yourself out of the blues without a church? We weary people been waiting water and worry for lifetimes. This is not a depression poem. Pray for me, but this is not a depression poem. This is a psalm for Zion, for suffering people, for people I could only touch in the square of newspaper, for the distance between my mama and me and the dead that died alone, funerals on phones, students dying for hugs and recess, the poor with less and less, who's zooming, who's driving by, waving through windows. I want to read your lips and know you're okay. This is for the sudden shock of you got it, and for the people who say, pray for me, but I'm not religious. This is a scream to our government rolling over our flesh and land. This is a warm prayer with no answers. What songs shall we sing now? I reach past the tears in my throat, searching for a song in this valley. Must be a sermon somewhere in a newborn. Must be joy coming in the morning. Even when we are mourning, we are alive. Even when we are mourning, we are alive. And that is the bread given to us this day. Oh Lord, give us this day.
Wow, thank you so much, Kelly. It's amazing. And thanks to all of our panelists, Kelly Harris-DeBerry, Carmen Gabriel-Watson, Mabel C. Jones, Kiya Renae, thank you all so much for being with us today and giving of your gifts and giving of your time and your experiences. And for everyone else that's not those four wonderful poets, a reminder that you can get copies of the books by each one of our authors from the Book Loft of German Village at bookloft.com, where you can actually go like I do once a week. Thanks again to our festival sponsors and partners, and thank you for joining us. Please check out the Ohioana website for all this year's festival programming, I think, which has pretty much been concluded at this point. But we have one more announcement. We'll see you at next year's festival, all things willing, in person, back at the main library in Columbus, Ohio, on April 30th, 2022. Thank you so much for being here with us, and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.